was more so focused on what do I want to do? What is the what am I passionate about? Where do I want to spend my time? And so it really started out with how can I be helpful to earlier stage companies? Because remember when I left my corporate role, I had just finished up working at a couple of earlier stage companies. I mean, they weren't early stage, but they were, definitely earlier than a Microsoft. And so no, seeing what great could look like down the road 45 years in, and then seeing what challenges companies had that were 10, 15, 20 years old, then it was like, okay, how do I help earlier stage companies avoid some of the pitfalls that I'm seeing? And I was getting, people were inviting me to join their advisory boards, and I also got into investing. And so I started really getting into detailed economics of a business and being able to advise them on their just business strategy overall. I started out with HR tech because that's a space I know really well, but then it evolved into financial services and some other sectors. I sit on the board of a healthcare organization. It's actually a large, just the $3 billion healthcare organization. It's been around for hundreds, like 100 years. So I had that perspective as well, and I would say that the VC thing came just, I was sitting on the board of a company I was working with, and one of the investors in that company was in VC. And he said, hey, I really enjoy working with you. And I'd love to have someone with your skill set in my venture fund. And so I said, oh, okay. What would I do? He said, well, help us learn about how to do due diligence and assess companies from a talent perspective, because that's why they don't work out. Generally, it's due to talent. I said, well, I can do that. And so that was my foray in. And when I started working with them, I thought I was like, wow, I'm adding a lot of value here. And it wasn't really things that were difficult for me. It was just I was drawing from all of the different experiences that I had. And I said, oh, wow, I guess I can add some value
Right.
on something I know in a space that I didn't know. And that was really the path that then led me squarely into venture.
Oh, I love that. I love that. So why don't you tell us about your fund and its thesis?